All right, folks, we're going live right here, 11 a.m. on September 18th. Hope that some of you out there are going to join us today and share this material. Hopefully, we're putting a dent in this thing, the whole sports saga, all the chaos that's going on in the sports world. I was in Williamson County a few weeks ago doing a professional development for coaches in Williamson County. Shout out to my man Ron Crawford at Brentwood High, Joe Blair there. So many good friends over in Williamson County that have attended Chattanooga wrestling camps in the past. But I was doing a professional development in conjunction with the Nashville Coaches Coalition, a great organization there in Nashville, Tennessee, that's trying to make a difference. But we're doing this professional development. They have an interactive PowerPoint, and on the PowerPoint, the coaches could log in and give answers. So the question was this: what do you dread most about coaching this year? So to 400 coaches sitting in an auditorium, male and female, middle school, high school, every sport represented, the question was this: what do you dread most about coaching this year? And the most common answer that was put up on the screen that day was, yes, you nailed it. For those of you out there, it was parents. Not only was it the most common answer, but it happened to be the only answer coaches mentioned when asked what do they dread most about coaching this year. And to me, part of me was in the floor laughing because we knew that was what was coming. But part of it was also very sad to think that the two people, coach and parent, who have the most influence on the young person are not in the boat rowing in the same direction. So today, here's what we're going to do. We're gonna kind of jump on the coach. Last week, we looked at parents, some things parents can do to help the coach. This week, I want to talk to the coaches. And listen, I was in coaching for quite some time. I don't want you to think I have it figured out. I do not. I don't have all the answers, but I do think I've been around some great people, and there's some things that we can do as coaches to make this thing better. And it's not that we have to have the parents in the boat with us. Okay, that's a little bit obnoxious and annoying. Parents, take note of that. You don't have to be in the boat with the coach. There's a lot of athletes in that boat as well. There's a seating capacity in there. We don't have to be in the boat together, but here's what we don't want. We don't want to create resistance. I've ridden my bike a whole lot in the past. Had the privilege of riding my bicycle to Florida. And one of the things that was miserable when you're on a long ride on your bicycle is when there's a headwind. It's one thing to go up a hill that you can see, but it's another thing when there's this invisible resistance always facing you that's always slowing you down. I mean, you're putting crazy amounts of effort into this, and you look down and you're going 15 miles an hour, and you're given the effort to be going 22 miles an hour. And so the goal today is this, is not that we would get all the parents in the boat with us, but that we would create some things in our coaching strategies that would help the parents become a tailwind. They're actually backing us versus a headwind and resisting us. So a couple of things. At the end of the day, here's what I know. Parents matter. They matter. Here's what I know as a coach. We need parents to do a lot of things. They're fans. Their butts in the seats. They pay for entry. They do all these different things. They help us raise money. I mean, if you're in coaching, you know this. Parents help you raise money. They work concession stands. They do events. All these different stuffs that parents do. And most importantly, here's what they do. They provide us with a young man or a young lady that we have the opportunity to impact in a positive way. So at the end of the day, parents matter. Here's the other thing about parents. They're not crazy. They just act crazy. They are not crazy. We go to church with these people. We sit beside them at restaurants. We see them out in public. And in a normal setting, here's what we know about ourselves. We're all pretty good people. But what happens is this idol of sport sucks us in, and we begin to do things. And parents begin to act crazy because they love their child so stinking much. They just kind of get caught up in it and things like that. So coaches, the parents aren't all crazy. And for a lot of the coaches out there, here's what I know. A lot of us are parents as well, and we act crazy just like them when we're watching our son or daughter. So listen, we're going to try to help everyone, not just one individual group, because we're all affecting the athlete in a negative or a positive way. So two things that can help you as you try to view parents as an asset and get them on your side. Two things that I think can help coaches view parents as an asset and help get them on their side, and it all centers around this word. It's communication. Here's what's crazy about these Facebook videos. It's free communication about something that we believe in, and it's why we continue to do it. So here's what we have to do. We have to educate our parents, and here's how we do it. We communicate clearly. If we're going to get parents on our side and we want them to be an asset versus someone who's against us, if we want them to become a tailwind working with us versus against us, then here's what we have to do. As coaches, we have to communicate clearly. Now, some of you are already saying, why should I have to communicate? Because you do. Why should the kid have to communicate to you when he misses practice or has a doctor's appointment? Because you have an expectation there. So the first thing we have to do, we have to communicate clearly. And here's what we communicate. We communicate what we are about. If we do not want parents complaining and against us, then we have to communicate clearly what we are about. What do we value? We have to communicate what we are doing. They need to know what's going on within the program. Then here's the third thing. We have to communicate why we are doing it. Listen, we live in the information age today. There is no more blind obedience. All right, they want to know why we are doing these things, and to be honest, they deserve to know why we're doing them. So in our programs, do the parents know what we're doing, when we're doing it, and why we're doing it? Do they understand our values? Do they understand what we're trying to accomplish through these practices and through these competitions and through these strenuous activities that we're doing? Did they really have a grasp on what we're trying to do and accomplish in their son or daughter? I believe this. If we can communicate clearly those things, parents will begin to gravitate towards being on our side and actually become a tailwind for us. Are we going to eliminate all of our problems? Absolutely not. But let's eliminate as many of them as we can so that we can have the greatest impact possible on that young man or that young lady. So first thing is this. We got to communicate clearly what we're about, what we're doing, and why we are doing it. Here's the second thing. We have to communicate consistently. Sending one email out at the beginning of the year is not enough. It's not enough. We have to communicate consistently. You need to be sending things out consistently that talk about, again, what we're about, what we're doing, why we're doing it, because buy-in happens over time. It doesn't just happen in one instance. Saying it once is not enough. It's got to be constant reminders. What are those constant reminders? One, it's emails. It's easy. Copy and paste all their names, send an email out. All right? It's text messages. It's verbal reminders, post-game speeches. Listen, if we want parents on our side, when we give post-game speeches, win or lose, we better be communicating what we're about, what we're doing, and why we are doing it. Because then it becomes real to them. They begin to see that this isn't just something we say. It's not just a slogan. It's actually who we are. So we've got to communicate clearly, and we have to communicate consistently. As we do this, here's what happens. Parents begin to trust us. And as they trust us, then we have an opportunity to impact that kid on a deeper level. And here's what I know. Coaching is hard. I would send an email out. You can ask anyone. And let me give a shout out to all the parents that I've coached over the last nine years at Chattanooga, 15 years at all different places. Man, I have had some unbelievable parents. I mean, I look back and go, that we really haven't had any issues. It has been unbelievable parents that have come alongside our staffs and helped us, and they've produced unbelievable young men. I've actually taken a lot of notes on parenting that I want to use in my own daughters because I've seen so many people produce these great young men. So shout out to my parents. But you know, we've got to communicate clearly and we've got to communicate consistently. And here's what we have to know. We've got to communicate that our job as the coach is not to make all the right decisions. Because I know as the wrestling coach at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, what was right for one set of parents was not right for another set of parents. So I would communicate at the very beginning of the year, you can't expect me to make all the right decisions. Because what's right for one is completely opposite for the other. My job and our job as coaches is to communicate that we're going to do what we can to not make the right decision, but the best decision. And we're going to use the current information that we have available, the help of our staff, the help of our trainer, the help of the teammates, to kind of gather all this information and make the best decision we can in that situation. And sometimes as a coach, here's what you do. You look back and go, man, I nailed it. that was not only the best decision, it was the right decision. Sometimes you look back and go, man, I thought that was the best decision. I wish I would have made a different decision. But as we communicate clearly and consistently, what it'll do is it'll create buy-in and trust from the parents, so that when it doesn't work out as the best decision, then there's a little fewer fires to put out and things like that. So listen, I know coaching's hard. There was an article in our local paper this weekend that talked about just the pressure that coaches face. But one of the ways we can alleviate that pressure is to begin to view our parents as an asset. They're not against us, they're for us. They want what's best for their child. We want what's best for their child. And if we want to work together, then here's what we have to do. We have to communicate clearly what we're about, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then we have to communicate consistently. And everything we do, it should point back to those things that we believe. Man, I hope for you guys out there that are coaches that this helps you just a little bit. I hope for you as parents, you realize just how hard it is in this coaching world. We're not making decisions based on one individual. We're making decisions based on a corporate team. So a lot of times it looks different than the lens you're looking through just as a parent. So as a reminder, we have a couple of events coming up October 5th and 6th, 24 Hours with God. That's at the Jones Wrestling Center there in Cleveland, Tennessee. We'd love for you local folks to be a part of that. You can send us a message. We'll send you a link to sign up. We also have a parent seminar coming up on Monday, November 5th. We'd love for you to be a part of that. We're going to talk about some boundaries that you can have in your life to help navigate on this sport journey and help put sport in its proper perspective. As a reminder, coaches, man, coach them hard this week, but always make sure you love them harder. Coach them hard, but always make sure you love them harder. And parents, man, don't get so consumed with what matters now, you forget what matters most. Your job in your child's life is not to be their agent. It's not to be their trainer. Your number one job is to be their parent. And I believe your number one job is to point those young men and those young women toward a relationship with Christ so that they can have hope in something that truly provides it. So, man, remind them each and every day, after practice, after games, whatever, remind them how much you love to watch them play. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you guys again next week.